Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This week I thought I would do South African terminology for you. So these are terms that we use here in South Africa that most people don't use around the world, I don't think, in any ways. And I'm going to start by saying that in South Africa we have 11 official languages. Yes, 11. So there are a lot of terms, but I'm just going to be covering a few basics today. So the first one is, oh, by the way, I'm looking at my phone. I saved them all in a note format on my phone. So the first one is actually from Afrikaans, which is one of our official languages, and it's ja, nee, kyk, which is yes, no, look, if you translate directly, but most people just say ja, no, look. And basically this term could fall into almost any category of emotion. Like, if it was an amazing event that you went to, ja, no, look, it was amazing. Or it could also suggest dismay or unhappiness, ja, no, look, that test was really tough, really hard. Basically, it just works for everything, and it's something that all of us South Africans say, whether you are Afrikaans at home or not, we just all say it. The next one is also from Afrikaans. I thought I'd put them in first, and it's no, which basically directly translated to English means now, but we say it to indicate that we will do things a little bit later on. Like, I'll clean the kitchen, no, like, just give me a moment, I'll clean it in a little bit. And we all tend to say that, but it's something that I've never heard anyone else say. I've never heard anyone else say now, so it might just be an Afrikaner thing. The next one is a term that we use here in South Africa. It is a garage. Like a petrol station, a fuel station, we call them a garage. And that's usually where most people park their cars, but we use garage for that and garage for petrol station. The next one is a robot. We call our traffic lights robots, which I think is quite creepy for most of the world, but it's what we do. And then the next one is another term that we often use here in South Africa, and no matter what language your home language is, everyone uses it, and that's eish. And that's usually to express dismay. So if you're unhappy with the situation or you're very shocked by a situation, for example, there was a big accident on the highway, eish, that's horrible. Or it was a really tough time for me, eish, I really struggled. So it's usually dismay. It's a negative thing and often implies a bit of surprise or a bit of shock. Then there are a few other things that we also say. We don't just say a crossing on the road, we call it a zebra crossing. My friend and I were actually laughing about this because it seems so silly when you explain it to someone else. But a crossing where it's got the black and white stripes that you go from one side of the road to the other is not simply a crossing to us, it is a zebra crossing. Because the zebras have black and white stripes, or are black with white stripes, or white with black stripes, I'm not really sure. The next one, let me just check. Okay, I've done that one. Okay, the next one is a taxi. Now, in South Africa, when you call a taxi or you see a taxi, it is not a smart vehicle that comes to pick you up and drop you off at home, super safe. A taxi is usually, when we say taxi, we refer to minibuses that most of our population use as public transport. And these minibuses are often not roadworthy, not very safe to travel in, and don't really, okay, not the minibus itself, but the driver doesn't really adhere to the road rules, which frustrates all us drivers on the road, but it's kind of part of our society and we are kind of used to it by now. That being said, not all taxi drivers are bad drivers, or they all have vehicles that aren't roadworthy. It's just like the vast majority. It's a little bit scary at times, but part of our society nonetheless. And then the last term that I have for you today, another South African term which I think is mind-boggling for many foreigners, is the term load shedding. Now basically, our main electricity power supply in South Africa is not able to supply enough power to keep the country running on 100% at all times. So they've instated this load shedding plan whilst other power stations are being built. So basically, we all get a schedule, and depending on where you live, you'll have a different time for your load shedding. And basically what happens is your power is off for 2 hours. You have no power whatsoever, and this is basically for the power suppliers, the electricity suppliers, to conserve energy so that the country can still run for the most part at a very high level. Whereas if they did not have load shedding in place, they'd only be able to provide power for a certain amount of time, and then we'd be stuck without power for a long time. So load shedding. We each get a schedule. It basically tells you when load shedding will be taking place in your area so that you can prepare for that. And like I said, it's 2 hours a day. Some days we don't have load shedding. Some days we have more than one scheduled session for load shedding, and that occurs in stages. At this point, we've got schedules for stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. But luckily, for the most part, where I live, we've only had stage 1, sometimes stage 2, and yeah, you just sort of learn to deal with it. They do try and schedule it at times that work for everyone, but I mean it's kind of impossible because everyone does a different job and needs power at a different time. So we just kind of deal with it. A lot of people in South Africa have purchased generators for that load shedding time, especially businesses who need power constantly, who can't be without power for 2 hours. So a lot of people have purchased generators. However, they can be quite pricey, so not everyone is able to do that. For us here at home, we don't have a generator. We just kind of push through it and make do and have lanterns and whatnot going. But yes, that's the last term. Very strange, I think, to most people. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, give it a big like, and also subscribe. I will see you again next week. Bye!